Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thank you once again for taking the time to watch today's video, and I hope that whatever I share with you today, and for those of you watching, I hope that this is going to be something that you'll be able to take away, information you'll be able to take as useful, whether it applies directly to you or maybe you know someone who it might apply to a little bit more specifically. I welcome you to share this video with them. I ask that you would subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And before I get started, I do want to make mention of a couple of things you're going to find in the description of this video. One is my Instagram handle, @LiveToLearnCoaching. That is where you can reach me directly. If you have any questions or you want to find out more about my life coaching services, what I offer, you or someone that you know has been considering hiring a life coach for whatever reason, I'd love to hear from you and see if I'd be a good fit for you and your situation. Second thing you're going to find in the description is 3 opportunities to donate financially to this channel. What that does is it just helps me continue to keep going, continue to set aside time and preparation to make this content as consistently as possible. And for those of you that have gifted me previously with financial donations, I just want to say thank you for that, and a big thank you to all of you for your continued support. So following along the theme of this week, I already made a first video about the transition from a religious environment to becoming more free thinking, right? And again, the idea behind this series is not to bash religion. It's not to bash my upbringing, because I was raised, in the faith, specifically in the Protestant faith, in the church. That's how I grew up. And I'm not ashamed of my roots. I'm not ashamed of my upbringing. As I've said many times before, I have a beautiful family. And for the most part, most of my experience in a family of faith, growing up in communities and church bodies, most of my experience has been incredible. It's been great. It's been everything good about humanity that you want. Everything you would expect to find in a faith community, right? And so me personally, I'm not one of those people that has dealt with intense trauma, although I know people that have. I'm a part of groups. I'm a part of, a Facebook group of people that have gone through some serious things and have been negatively affected, traumatized, used, and really just messed up mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, even physically, by people from religious environments, religious organizations. Okay, I'm not one of them, but I do advocate for those people, because I have seen how a strict religious belief and a strict religious environment can have a negative effect on people. And so what I'm doing is I'm just pointing these things out, and I'm offering advice for those that are looking to transition, because it's scary. It's not easy to do. If this is all you know, if this is how you were raised, if this has been embedded in your mind since a child, like my earliest memories of life are in the church. And again, I'm proud of my upbringing. I'm proud of my grandparents and my parents and my aunts and uncles and those that are in, those that were ministers, right? I grew up in a Pentecostal denomination. If you don't know what denominations are, it's just, the Christians couldn't agree, so they had to break off into their own stuff, right? It's kind of funny, but it's kind of sad at the same time. But being brought up in a religious environment, I know all about it. I know all about the emotion. I know all about the things that are said as fact. I know all of the things that are looked at. A lot of the things that were looked at as not being good or not being godly or holy. And that can really impact a person's personal freedom. And this is what I mean by personal freedom. And this took me a while to come to an understanding on, because of how I grew up. But personal freedom is something that we all have a right to. No one has a right to take your mind and your will captive. And I don't care what they lay out in front of you, talking about, this is according to our belief system, or this is according to what we believe in. I reject that notion. I think we can find plenty of wisdom in our, our respected, holy text, right? For me as a Protestant, it was the Holy Bible. I love the Bible. I think there's plenty of wisdom in there. I don't disregard it completely. However, if someone says, I can, or I can't be this, or I can't be that, or they have a knock or a criticism against my lifestyle, and they're pointing at a piece of literature that does not apply to me, or wasn't meant to speak directly, specifically into my life in the 21st century, I have a problem with that. And it can be really, really tough to think on our own, to think independently when we come up in a system like that. It also has a very direct impact on our self-expression. I touched on this a little bit in the introductory video, but let me get a little bit more specific here. A lot of times when you are, so I'll speak from my experience, growing up in the environment that I did, there were things you knew that you had every right to express openly. And then there were things that you knew you didn't. Now, let's put this in context. I'm not saying that you should express yourself to the point where you're violating someone else's rights, or to the point where you're violating someone else's space. That's not okay. That's abuse. But when you are within your right to be yourself, to express yourself as you are, and I think all of us are, certain strict religious beliefs can inhibit that. They can cause someone to look down on themselves because of how they want to express themselves when those things aren't tolerated. And so if you're in that part of your journey right now where you're saying, I feel like my personal freedom and my self-expression is being tread upon, it's being restricted, I'm being discouraged, but I cannot abandon this idea, I cannot abandon this fact that I am who I am. If that's you, if you're on that journey, then you're the reason why I'm making this video. Acknowledge your journey. I look back 15 years from now, 20 years from now, and I really have to I have to give myself grace. I have to forgive myself for some of the things that I used to think, for some of the things that I used to believe. And I never thought twice about it. Because of the environment that I was raised in, because of how I grew up, I just assumed and thought these things, this is how you're supposed to think. This is how you're supposed to see certain people and certain lifestyles and certain activities. Never mind that I was being completely hypocritical because of the mess in my own life. But as I had more life experience, as I got to meet more people, fast forward now, and I've come to this point where I've thought, you know what? I'm doing away with that old thinking. See, I believe that we are supposed to evolve. Our thinking is supposed to change over time. Even our perception and our perspective of faith and religious beliefs. And if that is not the case, you have to sit back and you have to think, why is that not being encouraged? Why do I not see the need to grow, to evolve, to change, to challenge even? You know, I read this great book, From Good to Great. I believe Jim Collins is the author. And one of the things that he points out, he talks about the companies, the organizations that were doing, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times better than their competitors. And he was trying to figure out what are they doing different? What sets them apart? What sets them from good to great? And one of the things that he points out was the board meetings that they would have. He says these board meetings would be just knocked down, what is it? Knock down, drag out, or drag down. I forgot how it says, but just it would be intense. People would come with suggestions, ideas. They put that on the table, and it would just get attacked from all sides. And there was debating, and there was back and forth, and there was agreeing, there was disagreeing. And it was a very hostile, intense environment. It was a controlled environment, though. Because when the dust settled, they knew whatever ideas we've accepted, whatever we're going to decide to go with from this meeting, whatever we decided to take and say, all right, we're going to implement this. It's been tested. It's been tried and true. It's been attacked from all angles, and it has withstood that. So if you're part of a religious organization or any organization, right? But specifically, let's talk about religious environments right now. If you're a part of a religious environment that's not doing that or not encouraging that, think about why. And if that's not matching up with yourself, I want you to acknowledge your journey. I want you to acknowledge where you're at. And I want you to know that your reasons, just like my reasons behind the desire to change, had nothing to do with wanting to rebel, have nothing to do with wanting to go to the dark side, right? Has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with your respect of your own personal freedom and your own self-expression. Those things, in my opinion, again, this is my channel, this is my opinion, those things are off limits. I don't care who you are. And I don't care what your doctrine, I don't care what your theology, I don't care what your beliefs say. I don't care how anyone tries to, interpret things or apply things that are going to, take this away from people or going to discourage people from having these things that to me are, if there is a God, these things are God-given. Personal freedom, self-expression. Nothing should be hindering that. So let me help you walk through this. Let me help you walk through this. These next few videos, everything this week is going to be based on this theme. And you go back and you watch these as many times as you need to. And this is the space that I have decided that I'm going to start building in. That I'm going to start being a resource. I'm going to start being a voice. I'm going to start being an ally for individuals that are trying to make the brave move out of their religious environment, the same one that I've made. And like I said, I had it pretty good. My family is pretty open-minded, very understanding. But I know there's a lot of you out there that are in fundamental families or fundamental environments, and it is downright scary to think of ever leaving these places. But you're not alone, and I can help you. And if you just need some coaching and some advice and some help in with life in general, I can help you with that as well. But anyway, I'm sorry to go so long in today's video. It's just something that I'm very passionate about because I understand what it's like. So remember, these strict religious beliefs, they have an impact on our personal freedom and our self-expression. Do not allow anything to take those two things from you or to restrict those things from you. And if they are, you need to question it. Also, acknowledge your journey. Acknowledge the change. Acknowledge the growth. And acknowledge the reasons behind the desire for change. You're not being selfish. You're just looking for that next stage, that next step. Again, not everyone's there. Some people will never be there. Comfort and assurance and certainty are very addictive. And they feel great. But I'm not here to beat those people up either. I'm just here to speak and advocate for those who understand where I'm coming from. So again, thank you so much for watching today's video. I do really appreciate your time. Please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the notification bell if you want to know every time I upload a new video. Leave me a comment. Maybe you disagreed with something I said. Maybe you felt like there's something I should have said more of. Maybe you have a story that you want to share in the comments. Maybe you have a question, a suggestion. Anything that you have for me, let me know, okay? But I really do appreciate you watching, and you have a great day.